The most important metric for acquisition strategy is to talk about CAC. What is CAC? We're going to talk about it today. The biggest mistake SaaS founders make with CAC is actually not understanding how CAC will affect your whole strategy. And if you don't think about it now, I promise you your strategy is going to fail.
Hi, my name is Jihad, and I've invested and operated over a dozen startups as a fractional CTO and CPO. Also, I'm the CEO of Liberate Labs. I worked at Amazon as a technical program manager and managed million-dollar products on million-dollar teams. So you already know. CAC is just simply how much you spend to acquire customers. But what people do not understand is, one, why is it so important? And two, how to optimize it. So CAC is one of those critical metrics that indicate, is your business healthy or not? The reason being is that if your CAC, if your acquisition cost far exceeds the money that you're getting from the lifetime of having that customer, also known as CLV, customer lifetime value, then it's going to present this weird dynamic. You're spending a lot of money, and this customer, even if you acquire them, is not spending a lot of money with you. So you're still at a net loss. You're not going to be growing if your cost to acquire customers is more than the value of getting them. But the thing is, CAC is also a lagging indicator. You're only going to find out how much it acquires to get a customer once you acquire the customer. So it's always going to be this later on type of thing that indicates whether you're spending much more than you should be on your SaaS. So why is reducing CAC so important? Obviously, you want to improve that CAC to LTV ratio. You want to get more money than it takes to get customers. I get it. But I want to present a few other perspectives, because what reducing CAC also represents is you're increasing the revenue in your company without increasing your budget. Okay. So that means that you're reducing the cost to acquire customers, and that means you're getting more customer money, you're getting more revenue, but you're not having to increase your budget. That's the whole definition of it. This video is about how to improve your CAC, how to optimize it, how to reduce that cost so that you can beat the market and ultimately become a high growth company. Strategy number one. The easiest way to optimize your CAC is just get referrals. People massively underestimate that if you can have some happy customers already in your customer base, you should be asking them to start recommending and referring people. That costs zero. And basically, whether it's through an organic or word of mouth, this is one of the best ways that you can get your message across without having to spend on paid ads or spend on a bunch of content. And in fact, referrals is one of the highest confidence ways of getting customers, because you trust what your friends say, not what a random meta ad is going to tell you. There's different ways. You can even incentivize referrals by basically giving them gifts. You can give them commissions. You can do a bunch of things, even a simple thank you, even a way within your service. You can provide a little bit more add-ons. But basically, the idea is that referrals is the lowest hanging fruit in being able to add a bunch of customers in a high confidence interval to your SaaS. Strategy number two, optimize your drop-offs. One of the biggest things and losses when actually that drives up CAC is if you spend a bunch of marketing spend, get these people into your funnel, and they don't convert. And or even if they do convert, they don't stay for a long time, which means their lifetime value is super low. If you have major drop-offs in your conversions or retention, what ends up happening is all the marketing spend you have is worth zero. And actually, you spend a bunch of money, and the lifetime value, the money that you're getting from these customers, is also very, very low. This causes a huge skew in terms of being able to maintain your CAC to LTV ratios. If you can retain customers for a longer period of time, that implies that you can actually get more money out of them too. And that will maintain your ratios. Or if you can convert at a higher rate, that means the marketing ROI that you have spent, you're going to get more out of based on what you've already invested. So make sure that your conversion rates and your retention is also fixed. I mentioned this in a previous video. At the end of the day, no matter how much you spend for growth, if you cannot retain your customers, your people that have bought into your product already, then you have a hole in your ship that's going to sink anyways, no matter how fast you try to go. Strategy number three, niche down.
So one of the biggest marketing spends is usually when you're trying to appeal to everyone. You're paying the tens of thousands of dollars on ads, trying to just scattershot into different customer segments that may or may not be very interested in your product. And basically, you're trying to appeal to everyone. Well, I hate to tell you this, but you're basically throwing money in the dumpster. If you're spending a lot of money appealing to a super general audience, that just means that you are going to have a really inefficient marketing system. You're going to be spending a lot of money, but again, to acquire these customers is going to be really low because your conversions are low. And if your conversions are low, that means all the marketing spend that you spent to get them to whatever stage in the funnel you want them in is going to just go to waste. So if you don't want to waste your spend, the best thing you can do is niche down, get more targeted, more focused. Just because you appeal to a broad audience doesn't mean you can capture that market. It's better that you capture a smaller market and dominate it than capture an extremely large market and not be able to convert. The best thing about niching down is that you have a much more marketing focus. You're going for a sniper instead of a bazooka. And the idea is with a sniper, you can be very targeted about who you approach and tailor your marketing funnel, your sales funnel to get higher conversions and retain them longer. And once you've dominated that niche, you can always go out. But, at that stage, you're going to have more revenue to work with and play with and scale accordingly. You can scale horizontally into different markets. You can try out different customer segments. You can experiment with different methodologies. You can spend more on different ads and creatives. But the idea is that's like step 2, 3, or 4. The first step, or even your P0, is to first just try to dominate a smaller market with a minimal spend and validate that you're building something that people want before you try to acquire customers at scale. So here's a few bonus tips. I'm gonna just blaze through these tips so you can optimize your CAC and ultimately, get more customers for cheaper price. One is that move away from some of the bottom of funnel marketing. Now, I'm not telling you to stop bottom of funnel. Bottom of funnel, by the way, is when someone is super actually ready to buy and basically they're solution aware is what they call it. They're ready to they're researching the different solutions and ready to purchase one product or service or another. But what I'm recommending is that rather than just focusing on bottom funnel where everyone is trying to compete on and is super saturated, try to educate and earn trust a little bit in the earlier stages of the funnel. Give more content and education and resources and support where there's less people doing it. So basically, if you can give these types of more educational content or value forward content that the customer is in the earlier stages, meaning that they may not actually be completely aware of all the solutions, but they're researching, or even earlier when they're just aware of the problem that they're having, but they're not even explicitly looking for a solution, you have an opportunity where there's less competition to carve out some trust. While I won't say that this is an immediate strategy that will immediately convert as you're appealing to an audience that's actually earlier in this branding journey. What you can do is earn trust, and you want to make sure there's a mixture of content between the bottom of funnel things when they're ready to convert and earlier stages when they're actually still considering and thinking. The idea is that if you can earn trust at those earlier stages, it's going to improve conversions and moving them into the bottom of funnel and sales funnel later on. The second thing is become obsessive about testing and just executing. One of the biggest things and issues with marketing is we think it's art. Actually, it's a science. And I'm telling you this is because at the end of the day, no one really knows what the entire market is thinking or how they'll respond. And the truth is, you just need to go out there and do it. And some data is better than no data. And it's better than you being in your head about what they may or may not like. At the end of the day, if someone knew what exactly the market wanted, then we wouldn't have marketing as a discipline. It just would be fact. But the fact is, no one really knows. And that's why we have it as an entire discipline for us to go out, engage, get feedback, and try again, and then try again, and then try again after that. And even companies that have solved this marketing, or rather than solving, I would say have been successful in their marketing, still have to deal with more and more challenges at different stages. So this is a continuous journey, and you need to be obsessive about being able to actually experiment and, more importantly, execute. And finally, related to the last thing, track everything. As you're doing these experiments and as you're executing, if you're not paying attention to the details, what's your engagement, what's your likes, what's your impressions, what's your open rates, close rates, reply rates. If you're not keeping a close eye on those things while you're doing your experimentation, you won't actually have the feedback loop to ultimately make better decisions. What's important is not you just doing things. It's for you to think about the iterations, the growth, the long-term scaling of your company. So ultimately, in your acquisition strategy and reducing your CAC, this is going to be a lifelong journey on your company at least. And so you need to basically do the experimentation accordingly. So basically, those are the 3 strategies and a couple of extra tidbits as well. And these were just meant to help you basically acquire customers cheaper and ultimately, use what strategies you have available right now. So I'm building a whole series of videos regarding acquisition strategies. So this is coming out of my experience working with over a dozen startups and basically consulting as a CTO and a CPO. And so I want to just share these strategies with you so you don't make the same mistakes. So I'll see you on the next one.
If you don't want to miss the next videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so you get notified of future uploads.